What's up everybody, Coach Mills here, coming at you with the brand new patch 1.8 breakdown. We have to break down so many different changes, buffs to both agents and weapons, new skins, and tons of other news that we have to cover, so make sure you watch it into the end so you don't miss out on any of the crazy changes in patch 1.08. But head on over to the GameLeap website if you want in-depth Radiant tier VOD reviews, advanced tips and tricks, character guides, map guides, and much more. Do yourself a favor and go check it out in the links down below, and I can't wait to see you there. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now, the first thing that we gotta cover is the new skins that just got released, the new Ego skin set, and honestly, these skins look absolutely fantastic in my personal opinion. I love the style, I really love all the different alterations, but guess what? I'm still not buying the skins, and you know that's kind of messed up when I could literally write these beaches off in my taxes if I wanted to, because I literally get paid for Valorant content, and I could actually do that, but I'm still not going to because this crap is crazy expensive for cosmetics, man. And I don't know if it's just me, but I don't think I will ever be spending money on skins unless they become cheaper. But I really want to know your opinion about it in the comments down below. What do you think about the Ego skin? Are you willing to pay money for skins? Do you think they should be cheaper? I want to know your opinion in the comments down below, of course. Now, jumping into the actual patch notes, let's talk about the first and the biggest change in the patch notes. Let's break it down from the top and talk about the big changes to your favorite demolition girl, Raze. Now, all the changes are directly targeting her blast pack, and let's break this down one at a time. So first off, the initial damage is reduced to only 15 with a 0.2 meter inner radius, falling off to 5 damage minimum, and this is just its initial damage, but this is only its damage in the air. Once the satchel lands, it arms after 0.5 seconds, and it will increase its max damage to 50. So basically, this is an overall nerf to blast pack, as it's not going to be able to cheese kills while throwing it in the air, and you're going to want it to actually connect with the ground if you're using it for raw damage. But that also leaves a certain amount of counterplay, because once it touches the ground, enemies have a certain amount of times where they could actually shoot your blast pack without you being able to do that max damage. So that is something that's definitely interesting about the blast pack, but that's overall a nerf. And on top of that, shooting the blast pack causes it to detonate, dealing its current damage amount. So it's not going to just be able to be shot and you just ignore all the damage. If it's thrown on top of you and it starts to arm, or it's armed, if you shoot it, you're gonna take the 50 damage right to you. So that's something that you should keep in mind when you are trying to counter Raze. If you're trying to shoot that and you're standing right on top of it, you're still gonna take that 50 damage to the face. Now, this all seems kind of bad for Raze, but the biggest buff in this section is that Satchel now no longer damages allies, and this has to be exciting for you if you're anyone but a Raze player, because how many times has your shield's been blown off by your own Raze? How many times have you been booped around and you've taken some damage because of Raze and it's frustrating? Well, now, as a Raze player, one, you don't have to worry about hurting your allies. If you're using it for mobility, if you're using it to fly in with your rocket launcher or anything like that, you're not going to hurt your allies in the process. And as an ally, I'm sure that you feel a lot better now, knowing that your Raze can't accidentally blow up part of your shield. So this, in my opinion, is actually not that bad for Raze. I actually think this is a really good quality of life. I might even call this a buff overall. I don't think that this makes Raze any worse in the meta or anything like that in pro play. I actually like this change overall, and it makes sense. And the part of Raze that a lot of us didn't even really use, and realistically probably didn't even have a place in Valorant, where you could do a lot of damage in the air with blast packs, that is the main thing that they targeted here, which they've talked about multiple times in the past. They want to get rid of that instantaneous damage with specifically abilities in the game. Now, the next thing that we got to talk about is Guardian changes, and the Guardian got a pretty sizable buff here, which is probably good considering literally no one used the buff in pro play. It was hardly picked in ranked play, and that is a really bad look for this weapon. So they reduced the price from 2,500 to 2,400, which is pretty nice. They increased the fire rate from 4.75 to 5.25 rounds per second, which is a nice buff in overall DPS and the amount of bullets that you can spit out, of course. And it improved your weapon recovery time from 0.35 after 3 bullets to 0.2925 after 3 bullets, which basically that will probably conjunction with the rate of fire, allowing you to fire more rapidly and still have your weapon being decently accurate. Now, what they specifically talked about in this description is they don't want the Guardian to compete with the Vandal or the Phantom, nor do they think it ever will, but they would like to put it in that little middle ground where it's competitive in certain economic situation and map scenarios and isn't as punishing when enemies get close, which is why they improved the rate of fire and the weapon recovery, so you could spam it when someone swings you or something like that. Now, in my personal opinion, I know that all this stuff kind of seems good, but it's not that good. I mean, I don't think the Guardian is good at all. I think it's still F tier. That's what we put it on our list. We put it in F tier, and I think it's still F tier because 2,400 credits, are you really gonna buy this weapon over a Bulldog? Maybe for holding really long sightlines, but if that's the case, wouldn't it be better to just rock like an AR with light armor? And if you can't even do that, why wouldn't you just rock a Spectre with full armor and hold a closer sightline? Or a Bulldog, or an Ares, or I don't know, even a Sheriff. I mean, the Guardian is like a fat Sheriff for like 3 times the price. I don't know if this really fixes the problems with the Guardian, but you know what? Now maybe they'll get more people to buy the Guardian skins, right? Anyways, moving on to the next quality of life changes that we got to talk about. So have you ever been playing a day of Valorant? You know, you come back from school or work and you sit down and you get a scent, and then you're like, oh yeah, a scent. Then you go again and you get a scent again, and then you go again and you get a scent again, and then you basically just rage quit because you've gotten a scent like 5 times in a row. Well, they finally fixed that. Now, instead of having just randomness, now it's like half random, where you are less likely to get a map that you've already gotten in a row. So you are probably not going to be getting the same map more than twice in a row. While it hypothetically could be possible, it's going to happen so infrequently that it's not going to be a big problem. And this is going to be great, and I really like that they implemented this change now. And then plus when we get more maps come Act 3, it's going to be really great to actually not play the same map over and over and over again, especially in succession. So this is a really great quality of life change in my personal opinion, and I'm really excited that it's finally in the game. Now, the last thing when talking about the patch notes is the devs have stated that they realize that the operator is being incredibly dominant in the game, particularly in the mid to higher ranks of the game, and of course in pro play, and they are looking into it. Now, they understand that this has been a problem, and it's been a problem for a while, especially in the hands of a character like JETT, who fundamentally changes how the operator is played, and that is my big question when they talk about addressing the operator. How does Riot actually nerf the operator to where it's not good on JETT? Because if they do that, then it wouldn't be good on any other character, because JETT makes the op so much stronger. It's like a 4 or 3x stat multiplier on the op because of what JETT can do on the op, and this really makes me feel like if they want to actually nerf the op in a way that it's still playable and balanced, the real person they have to touch is JETT, or if they nerf the op, only JETT will really be the one that can use it. So I really want to know what you think about this in the comments down below. How do you think that they could balance either JETT or ops in a way that makes it balanced for everybody and that everyone can use it? Or do you think that it's fine that if it gets nerfed, only JETT could get like a decent amount of value with it? Or would you just want a game where there's no ops in it? I definitely want to know your opinion about this concept in the comments down below. Now, the last thing that we got to talk about is the concept that really blew up on Reddit. There was a huge Reddit post about Valorant being the most inconsistent game ever. And the person who posted this really talked about how they have thousands and thousands of hours of FPS experience. They played thousands and thousands of hours of CS. They're Immortal 3. And they feel like for things that they don't quite understand, Valorant is the most inconsistent game ever. And this post, like I said, blew up. Tons of people agreed that there was something that just didn't feel right. That regardless of what game you were playing or how good you were playing, sometimes you would just play worse than other times. And some people attribute this to ping, or maybe it's something else behind the scenes, but the bottom line is players feel like some games that they're on, like really playing well, and some games things just don't work out no matter what they do. Now, a big part of this is due to the way that Valorant is as a game, I'm sure of it, with plays working versus some players and one play style getting shut down by other players, and I'm gonna go over that in depth in another video to help you improve consistency. But that's not what this Immortal player is talking about, and that's not why this Reddit post blew up so much. Lots of high-ranking CSGO players and Valorant players agree, and this is not just salty wood players. This is actually high-ranked players that feel like there is something that is not seen or known about that is really affecting consistency. Now, a lot of players also claim that 0.5 in beta, the game felt snappy and fine, but something has been off ever since, and people don't quite know what that is. Now, with my personal experience with this, I do feel like there's times where I feel absolutely unstoppable playing well, and then the immediate next game, I feel like nothing works out, and it's not like I just suddenly became not consistent anymore. It's not like I'm suddenly playing worse. Maybe the enemies are just better that game, but a lot of times, I'm losing some fights where on paper, it seems like I should win, but that's just my personal experience. Now, the important thing though is that all of this is anecdotal evidence at best, and it's really impossible to know exactly what the problem is, but the thing is, I really want to know your personal opinion on this. How do you feel about this? Is there something that you think is behind the scenes that's really affecting your consistency, or do you think it's just something that we have to work through as a community to get better at the game? I'm really curious about this because maybe there's something behind the scenes, whether it has to do with ping or latency or client side, whatever, that might be something that is affecting consistency. I definitely want to know your opinion on this topic in the comments down below. But of course, if you really want to climb, you really want to improve, master any agent in the game, improve your mechanical skill, your consistency, your positioning, then you definitely got to go check out the GameLeap website, where we have in-depth Radiant tier VODs, advanced tips and tricks, and everything you need to climb the ladder with ease. So do yourself a favor and just go check it out in the links down below. And thanks so much for coming by. That's all I got for you today. I'm Coach Mills, and of course, until next time,